You're still watching Prime Morning, and this segment is Prime Insight. We are talking about unemployment in Ghana. Now, we want to narrow it down to youth unemployment. When we talk about unemployment in general, it's quite high. Now, it's very surprising to know that 1.76 million Ghanaians are unemployed. During the first quarter of 2022, we saw some employment go in there, which was good. Now, 7.5 million remained employed as of 11 million persons who were employed throughout the year. However, it was only 7.5 who remained employed throughout the year. The remaining actually didn't have their jobs again. What is the reason behind some of these things? Let's quickly run through some of the statistics there. Now, GSS quarterly labor statistics shows that labor force, an unemployment rate of 12.76 million. We have a labor force outlook as at the end of the third quarter, 12.76 million. We are looking at employed 11 million and unemployed 1.76 million. Also, we have the outlook of Ghana's labor force again. Now, we are breaking it down. In 2021, we have 11.6 million. In 2022, the third quarter, we have 12.76 million. We come to 2022 third quarter again, and we break it down. Overall versus youth unemployment rate. So this is where we are talking about overall people who don't have jobs, 13.4%, and when we narrow it down to the youth, we have 19.7%, meaning that the unemployment rate in the youth is higher than the overall. Again, we go to youth not in employment, education, or training at all. We are looking at 25%, and the youth unemployment rate being the 19.7%, which we spoke about earlier. Again, in 2022 third quarter, unemployment outlook, that's the gender mix, 2 out of every 3 unemployed persons were female, meaning that we have more females not having jobs as compared to the men. What is the reason? We'll find that out. Transitions from informal employment to unemployment is on the average 5 times more than from formal employment into unemployment. Now, this was quite alarming to me. I was quite surprised about it. 2 out of every 3 unemployed persons in third quarter that were employed in quarter 1 were vulnerable employment as in the first quarter. And this is telling us that, and this is where we come to the 7.5 million who remained employed, because it means that there are more people being vulnerable, because if you lose your job, then it means that you are in the vulnerable state. So this is where, we talk about 2 out of every 3 unemployed is vulnerable. This conversation is definitely going to be helped by the youth, because they are going through it. Want to hear your voice this morning. This conversation is not just about us, it's about all of us. Let's hear your voices. And so joining us this morning via Zoom is Angela Tagboza. She is USAC Press and Information Secretary. If Angela is on, can I see you, Angela? Good morning. Hi, Angie. How are you? Kindly unmute yourself for us. All right, so Angela, we'll come back to you. In the studio this morning as well is Andrews Teku. He is actually the 2023 Doha Debate Ambassador, and also he is an intern with Bolt Ghana. Good morning, Andrews.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Great. I was having a conversation with you earlier. Of course, you did tell me that you came out of school not too long ago, and you are already interning at Bolt. Somebody might think that, okay, if you are interning, then things are okay for you. But you were telling me even how you got to be an intern in Bolt Ghana. Share your experience with us.
So I won't go a lot into the details of what happens there, but it's more like you have to try and be persistent, and also try to move out of your comfort zone. Because I read biological sciences in school. So entering into the tech field was a bit out of my league at the time. But I had to try, so I gave a first attempt, got some feedback, didn't get in there. But then the main feedback was, I think, the structure of my CV and a few things. They shared some resources with me, which helped me build a better one, and then reapplied for a subsequent opportunity, and then I got in there. So I think one of the key things I learned from there was to try, just keep trying. and one of these times it would pay off.
Right.
Yeah.
So you kept trying.
Yeah.
How many times did you try?
Twice. But of course, there are several other opportunities where you've tried and you're not getting success there. Yeah.
As an intern, are you being paid?
Yeah, I am.
As a national service or as an intern?
As an intern.
So have you done your national service?
Currently, that's what's ongoing, but it's an internship structure. So it's very, very different, right?
Explain it to us.
So mainly what's going on is that you are treated and trained and built into the system. You are given a lot of responsibility, and it's not like the perception of NSS out there or internships out there where you are more like, there's this perception that you just send you just go and watch things. So you build skills, you work on projects, you build talent, and then eventually you are much more stable to move from there. So not dwelling a lot into that, because of course the discussion here is really about the entire nation and the way in which unemployment is rising. But from my experience, it's great to be there.
Let's talk about your experience as well before you got the internship, because you did mention that it wasn't a one-time try.
Yeah.
It was more than once.
Yeah.
How did you survive?
It was great, not being ready to give up, and constantly trying and trying to understand what goes wrong so that you can fix it.
How are you surviving?
Like I said, personally, I've also built a lot of other skills. Like you saw in the introduction, I'm a debater. Debating in school has helped me a lot. So I've built skills in communication, in writing, in critical thinking and public speaking. And so there are a lot of opportunities out there. I think later on we'll talk more about some of the things that are out there that we need to re-engineer ourselves to try and access. And a lot more also into the educational setup of the country and why we need to start rethinking that, because that goes a long way into the mindset of people, the way in which we set the youth up to approach opportunities, what opportunities they even see and interact with, and their confidence in going out there. So those are some of the things I think from my perspective I would be contributing to a lot.
I like that because you have experienced it.
Yeah.
Also joining us this morning is Julius Anthony. He's a former NUKS General Secretary. Good morning, Julius.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I'm happy you're here this morning. Of course, we are talking about the youth unemployment and the real struggles that the youth go through. You're still a youth, so you speak on their behalf, although you're out of school.
Yeah.
What do you do now?
I'm still in school though. I've gone back.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
We met the last time at the faculty.
Yes. Oh, yeah, true. You are doing law. See, forgive me. You're reading law. Anyway, so let's talk about, before you went back to school, when you finished your first degree. What were you doing?
So a research assistant in the day, a draftsman in the evening, a student at night. Let me say it that way. Because, I go to work in the day, then now going to school, my program is in the evening. Basically, that's what I do. I still do that, just that I don't go to work as often as I used to do. Yeah, basically that is it. Was
it a challenge for you to get a job?
Well, individually, no. But I would say that if we have opportunities such as this one, it's important that we do not reduce the conversation to our persons, but to look at the larger perspective of what is going out there, what could be statistically proven, what could be shown to be the reality of young people all over the place. And that is what I think we should draw more on. But in my experience, I think what works more to make things easy has not been given by the system, let me put it that way, or the system does not produce that. The kind of confidence that people want to see before they employ you. That people want some level of experience. Sometimes in the absence of the experience, they want that confidence that you'll be able to adapt. So that adaptability must be shown in your person. Basic communication, team building, working with people and all those things. Those are things that ordinarily the system doesn't make you see. And while you are going through school, nobody tells you that you cannot be successful at anything unless you can create something. No one tells you that. They tell you that while you learn, you do well in school and you pass, you are good to go. But experience tells us that the best students in class are not the most successful people out there. And those are the things we need to look at, how the system is enabling people to identify those realities. And those who are, should I say, casualties of our inability to make people realize that this is how things work. Should we blame them, or should we be looking at how to rehabilitate the situation and get them something that works? I think that should be central.
That should be central. All right. Angela is ready to have a conversation with us. Hello, Angela.
Hello, Roslyn.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing well.
Great. Angela is USAG Press and Information Secretary. Now, since you are the Press and Information Secretary of USAG, obviously you've had a lot of conversations with most of your colleagues who are looking for jobs. What are they saying?
Okay. Roslyn, thank you for having me, and good morning to your viewers. And I must say I am one of the thousand NSS personnel who were recently enrolled, as well as serving as the USAG Press Information Secretary. So we have lots of concerns when it comes to the employment issue, because most of us are currently doing the service, and our future or our tomorrow after the NSS is uncertain as to how the enrollment is going to be, what are the job prospects available for us, or where we are going to find ourselves moving on after we are done with our service. Because most of us are recent graduates, some are about to complete school. So we are looking at that prospect, or what the future holds for us in this country, where unemployment is on the rise, and with the numbers showing that it's something that we are really, really concerned about. From the statistic that we have, that only 5 to 10% of our colleagues get to be employed after our service or after we graduate. We are really concerned because we don't know what you're going to do. Those who are not going to go back to school would now have to find menial jobs or certain things to be doing whilst they seek or they await certain jobs, or they await to be employed. So coming from that side too, we are really concerned about what the future holds for us in this country.
Now, what did you study in school, if I may ask you?
Okay, I read political science with information studies. Yeah.
Are you doing anything in relation to that? Sorry.
No, through all my internships and my work experiences, I didn't do anything related to that, but rather I'm into research. So my internship have always been in the research field, marketing research, and currently I am doing my service with an academic research office as well. So it's had absolutely nothing to do with my my education or what I read or the course I did in school.
Is that not going to affect you?
The course I did and
what you're doing today, because you went to school, you paid school fees, your parents paid school fees, you decided to do something else. Now you come out and you are doing something else altogether.
Okay. For political science, it's a very let me say a course that's when you come out, you can go into every sector, because in political science we were taking through some research methods, some research. We're given that research experience, so it was easier for me to fit into the research field, the marketing research and the academic research field. So it's not. Let me say I'm not moving off course. I'm not moving from what I learned, but I'm just taking that into a practical form in the office or where I find myself to be working.
Let me come to you, Andrews. Now, you're also doing something different from what you studied in school. Yeah. You didn't mention what you studied. What did you study?
Yeah, I read biological sciences.
Biological sciences. Yeah. Now you are interning at Bold Ghana. We had nothing to do with the biological science. Now, how are you coping then?
Learning. And knowing that you can. The thing is that I've come to realize that the skills are out there for us to learn. And it's really about, again, mindset. A lot of us are boxed into thinking that the only place we can learn is the school. And so if you don't go to school to read something or to study something, you cannot learn. But just like my brother said, that is not enough. And it's not even proven to be a success, because you go to school, read and study, and there are thousands of people out there who have read the same thing, gone ahead and done masters, and are still sitting home without jobs to do. So essentially, for instance, a lot of the tools you use in the, you go to YouTube, you would find various tutorials, various skills. You'd study them gradually at your own pace. Once you are dedicated to them, you get to build projects. And a lot of the people I'm seeing around me, right? I can just think of some people who did things that were in no relation to where they are, and they're actually learning, building projects, and studying to fit into those spaces.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You read biological science for a reason, because you love it, right?
Yeah.
Now, if there was a space or a sector that was readily available for you to go in there with biological science, would you have opted for what you have now?
Maybe because I'm very diverse in terms of my interests. So even though I'm studying biological sciences, like I said, I have a very diverse interest, and doing debating in school, to be very honest, really helped me, because it exposed me to several areas I needed to learn about. And because the kind of debating we do in university is very broad, you had to know a lot about economics, politics, international relations, almost everything there is in this world. And so you kind of generate that kind of interest, understanding about all these areas, so far as you have the comfortability, the willingness to learn and advance in any of these areas. For me, it would have been much easier.
What about your friends?
Yeah.
Those you studied biological science with.
Yeah.
Do we have enough, jobs available for such people?
No. That's the short and obvious answer. And the reason is that biological sciences is a life science program. And so you do a lot of research, more like the background to a lot of the medical health chemistry findings that we have within the country. And so there are research labs. The major ones I can think of is Noguchi in the University of Ghana, KCCR in Kumasi. I'm close to the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And these are the major biological research institutions in Ghana. Of course, these are just two. There are thousands of biological science graduates coming out from University of Ghana, University of Natural Resources, my school, which is KNUST, UDS. So definitely, there are not enough spaces.
So how are they
there.
surviving? You talk to them all the time.
Yeah, I interact with lots of my friends. From what I've seen, and this boils down to, again, the kind of interactions I've had with people, you would notice that it's more about mindset. And I keep mentioning this because it will come to something else, which is about rethinking our educational system and the way in which we build people's minds to view the world. Coming up and growing up, we are told that the kind of successful jobs in the world that we should be aiming towards is to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be a nurse, to be a teacher. And we are boxed into, quote unquote, this conservative form of viewing success and career, such that almost everyone wants to be there. In this modern age, there's a new trend of it. Finish school, get a master's degree, or get a scholarship and move outside. And of course, that's also heavily because there's lack of employment within the country, and so a lot of people want to move
migrating out.
Yeah. But the concept here is that a lot of people I know are looking to move on, aggressively looking for scholarships to move out of the country, trying to get a master's degree, because they know that today a basic degree is not enough. They know that they are done and they are going to join 2,000 people out there with the same degrees, with probably much more experience than they have, all competing for the same jobs. Right? So it's really a dire situation out there when it comes to employment and the capacity of people to enter employment spaces, especially in a world where the job sector is shifting. And for instance, in this tech evolution, when you go to LinkedIn, there's a lot of jobs about software engineering, about data analysis, about a lot of things out there. But I interact with some Chinese kids in my debate training sessions online, and you ask them what are they doing in their spare time, and they are coding. In Ghana, you go through the university and you come out and you basically lack any tech skill. Literally.
Literally, that is another conversation because we know that the world is changing.
Yeah.
But when we come to the reality on the ground,
no.
Are we preparing the young ones for that? Julius, let me bring you into this conversation. Why do you think, what do you think are some of the reasons why we are seeing so much unemployment in our graduates lately?
I think the reasons are many, and I would take them one by one. Today, I want to speak more for even our health sector, the situation over there. So I will dovetail into that area first. We have a situation where nurses in our country are leaving the country in droves. And when you ask, some politicians boldly tell you that they are even too much, so they can go, and we should export some of them. You ask yourself the question, is that the reality? If you go to our communities, do we have too many nurses in our communities? The cheap compounds that are empty, do we have people manning them? So here's the problem. One, we don't have the facilities to accommodate those who we have already trained. So you can't employ them. They are there. People finish their school. Those who have even gone through the usual route, learn hard, pass the examination, get a license in a professional field like nursing and all that. You do that, and there's still no space for you. So you are now struggling about how to write some foreign examinations and go. And that's the situation we are facing with the nurses. And let me talk about doctors. If you go to Korle Bu, those who are doing their housemanship, as we speak, they give them 300 cedis, feeding allowance. Housemanship. And the essence of, I'm coming to...
Okay,
the
you know what I want us to really narrow it down to. Now, these are problems that are very obvious. They are evident to us.
Yeah.
How can we solve it as youth? If you come out of school...
The solution is this. If we have a situation where someone is supposed to do housemanship, I was just asking them what it means yesterday, and they were telling me that it means that the person has to be resident at the facility, right, and do that work. The impact on not being able to provide those conditions for the person to do the work is that they would leave. If they leave, the implication generally is that there's no motivation to go into that area again. Then those who go into that area, because it becomes a cyclical issue, the facilities get abandoned. And when the facilities get abandoned, it means that it has a general impact on healthcare and all that. Then what is the essence of employment? Employment is about value addition. It's not about putting numbers over there. It's the value addition. So if the facility cannot match the number of people you put out there, if the conditions of service cannot match the people you put out there, it is not employment. And that is why earlier when I was coming, I had Raymond's conversation with the gentleman who was in there. And he was talking about something like NABCO. NABCO is not employment. No. The reason why it is not employment is that it is a disguised unemployment scheme where numbers are added to a place where there is no real job. That is the situation we are facing. So to fix these things, what we need to be doing is to go back to the basics. What is the drivers of the economy? We moved from an economy which was largely driven by agriculture to one that we now claim is driven by the service sector. Why do we make those claims that is driven by the service sector? It's because of things like NABCO, where you gather people and pour them into a service area where there is no job, and you give them cash. It drives inflation, and you say you have employed. There's no employment. So we need to go back to those things, the basics of our agriculture. What is happening? We do projections about cocoa. The last time, I met one guy who came from the cocoa areas. He's in my class, and he said, these projections we have all done are lies, because the cocoa trees are not there. So what analysis have we done to do these projections that we will get this? So the trees are gone, occupied by Galamsey and all these things. How do you drive an economy this way? Agriculture. As a young person as me, I have my friends, Worship and the rest, they have gone into Agreed. If Worship cries to you, laments to you about the situation, but he needs to put up a strong face every day for things to go on because he wants to go into entrepreneurship. Those he has employed, he needs to be the center of encouragement for them all the time. Right. But what is the cost of fertilizer to drive his agriculture? It is not there. Over 800.
Now you are talking about, I like the fact that you are talking about agriculture. I want to have a lady who actually is into agriculture. She actually plants mushrooms, and she's into mushroom farming. Good. So let me have a conversation with her. Good morning, Fafa. Fafa, kindly, yes, how are you this morning?
I'm doing very great. You're looking great.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us this morning. Of course, youth unemployment, the real struggles that you're going through. You are a mushroom farmer, and it's interesting that Julius did mention that the farming sector, there's even a struggle there. Share your struggles with us if it's really true.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. I have to emphasize that indeed there are challenges in the agriculture sector. We're looking for more youth to be in the sector. But the main question, or what is the problem now, is are we well resourced to enter into the agri sector? Do we have enough extension services to guide the youth when it comes to what they want to do in the agriculture sector? When we look at some of we have arable lands, yes, but we need the resources, we need the tools, we need the guidance. Some of us have been to School of Business, some are not really into didn't come up with the agri certificate, but we desire to be in the sector. In an economy like this, agriculture sector has become one of the important areas to secure our food solutions in the country. But then the main question, as I said earlier, is are we resourced enough to go into the sector? Imagine a fresh graduate, okay, I have a land in my village, I want to go. Can the person just stand up without any financial assistance, without the right expertise, and get to the village and do something right for him or herself? So we need the agricultural sector. We need the stakeholders to come in, sit down and see what can we do for the youth? What can we do for our fresh graduates? Are we going to support them with enough grants? Do we need to give them loans without those huge interest rates? Or we employ a lot of the extension officers to go down to the villages or where the farmlands are located and give them enough guidance to come out as successful business people. That is what we need right now. We are being left alone. The youth are left alone. And when, for instance, when it comes to the mushroom, I faced a lot of challenges starting. So I have to endure the learning curve. So if you don't have the same muscle like me, someone, maybe within a year, the person will abandon the project.
Right. We really appreciate that you are sharing your story with us. But did you go into this mushroom farming because you didn't have a job, or you went in there just, because you knew that it was a lucrative business, so you just wanted to go into it?
Well, my motivation came from, protecting the environment, actually. The mushroom business, we use a lot of sawdust, and sawdust is one of the pollutants of the environment. When you stay close to a sawmill, you will imagine the nuisance that will be coming from the noise, the dust, and above all, how they burn the sawdust into the environment, causing a lot of carbon monoxide, a leading cause of some of the health problems we have in the country. So that was my motivation to actually use the sawdust to, bring about a climate change. But then as a result of that, I've employed quite a number of people, and not necessarily that myself I was unemployed, but I was looking at a solution to the environment. So entrepreneurship sometimes starts from solving a problem in the environment. And then from there, the rippling effect is you're going to employ other hands. So as I've employed about 6 youth and about 5 women, matured women, I'm looking at expanding to consume a lot more of the youth in the environment, or the people that are on the streets. Some have masters. You will employ people with masters without jobs. You see people with even going to the extent of entering to do their doctorate because there is no job. Sometimes that is what we are seeing, that people are moving from the first degree to the second degree, not because they want to, but because they've come out and there is no job. And the only way to make themselves busy is to go back to school.
But going back to school also means that you have to pay more school fees, more cost on your head. So going back to school, who is paying the school fees? Does it mean that you're putting more burden on your parents to go back to school, or what is it?
Exactly. That is the statistics we see now. A lot more of our parents have to even cater for most of the youth in the second degree level, because there is no job, and they say, I have to take my master's in order to get a job. And after taking the master's, you see that the cycle still continues.
Same. I'm bringing you in, Andres.
Yeah. I'll touch on two things here. And first, let's talk about entrepreneurship. Because a lot of the time, when the conversation of unemployment pops up, the first go-to solution that they throw out to the youth is engage in entrepreneurship. The problem is that, check the statistics. It says in Q1 2022, people who lost their jobs as at Q3, Q4 were vulnerably employed. And a lot of those vulnerably employed people were one-man entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So the problem here is not that the youth are not engaging in entrepreneurship, it's that they are failing at it. And so we need to start asking ourselves why. And like she rightfully says, it's a funding problem, it's an expertise problem, it's an understanding problem. And post-COVID-19, the capital market is very, very expensive. Worst of all, we did a banking sector cleanup not long ago. The capital structure is very, very strict on who they offer funding to, who they trust enough to make use of their funding to bring back returns. And so people have very, very brilliant ideas, but they are going about it, trying their best, but they do not have the funding. And so, like the statistics says, a lot of them kickstart and then they fail along the line. And so I think we need to, again, like he says, start thinking about what structures do people need to independently make it without relying on the state for employment or without relying on corporations. And the entire economy, it's probably currently not set up to absorb a lot of entrepreneurs because you need disposable income to purchase whatever that person is selling, to purchase whatever product that person is doing. And inflation, whatever economic conditions we have now, people cannot spend on things that they probably do not think are eminently necessary. And so you have people out there with bright businesses, but they know that others cannot afford, even if they put businesses out there. I've seen on Twitter an entire food chain trying to start up by youth come out during the heat of the inflation and say, we are shutting down because the cost of things are too high and our prices are not allowing you to patronize us. Right? So these are some of the things we need to start looking at. The second thing then is education and the kind of upbringing we give to people. Because when I was coming up...
So before you continue, I just want people out there to know that tomorrow we are bringing the conversation on entrepreneurship. We need to speak about it. And so tomorrow we are delving into that. Is that the solution to unemployment? We need to get to the bottom of that. Continue, please.
So to education, growing up, I desperately wanted to become a medical doctor, right? And that's what drove me into studying science in high school, into biological sciences in the university. But you'd realize that, of course, how many of us can the system take up? How many can the healthcare, the legal system, the engineering system take up? Because ask any Ghanaian child, a lot of them will tell you, I want to be either a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a pilot, a lot of these things. Meanwhile, instead of building people to explore the full range of their skills, their capacities, to have an open mind towards the world, such that they explore and then find, okay, there are opportunities here, I need to start building myself for those opportunities. So the reason why she says lots of people go back to do masters, to do doctorates, a lot of the time they feel they need to upgrade to get into that specific sector and not necessarily branch outside or think outside of those comfort zones that we've been conditioned into. And so the bigger challenge here is that we need to start educating people, one, to be independent and to have the capacity to explore the world.
But don't we do that? In recent times, we do that a lot. We speak about independence. We speak about, like we said, entrepreneurship. We speak about being adventurous. We speak about, technology. The world is changing.
The problem
Try as
here,
much as possible to adapt.
The problem here, we go to school. We are told that in this economy, you need an entrepreneurial mind by whoever manages the economy. We go to school and there's nothing of that sort. I went 4 years, read biological sciences. Nobody told me that these are the skills or these are things that you needed in entrepreneurship. People have to join private clubs in school, right, to build themselves. And so the system, again, is not set up for the very things we are telling people they need to succeed.
But if they have a course like that,
Yeah.
Will we have more people interested in it, Julius?
The moment you make entrepreneurship a course or something, you bring it back to the same
old system.
a lecturer coming to read notebooks that have been used 20 years ago to people. That's what you make it. It's something that evolves. It changes every day. You must play according to the new rules.
Yeah.
And it takes people that have done multiple things. I tell you in all sincerity, my colleagues that do better than most of us are the people who have juggled so many things while we are in school. That is the truth. It's a sheer honesty about it. Those who have learned to sell at some point in time, those who have, done debating at some point in time, tried politics, been leaders, those are the people who do better than most at the time. And sharing my own experience, after I came back, I have to learn to sell sometime. I came back, I'll sell AirPods, sell all these things and all. And I realized, okay, life is not only about probably even talking much or reading so much or trying to show you are the one who knows the best, because the economy is driven by those who can show tangibles. And one of the biggest challenges we are facing now is that even though young people our age are trying to, strive at entrepreneurship, what are most people doing? They are doing buying and selling, not entrepreneurship. Yeah. The implication of doing buying and selling instead of real entrepreneurship is that Ghana is at the tail end of the value chain. What happens is that someone starts a value chain. It starts from the raw materials, which they mostly come and take from here. The polishing stage is where a lot of the value is. Who does what? Who puts what chain to it? Who packages it and all that? They do all that. We are a dumping ground. So when they dump it, and then our young people, they do the finishing touch for other countries. So if, for example, we are to take cosmetic products, which are brought from other places, which most of our young ladies are doing, I'm not condemning the enterprise. It is what they need to do to survive.
And it's lucrative, I must say.
Exactly. It's what they need to do to survive, and it's lucrative. But what would have been best if the production started from our end, so that before it gets to the chain where the young ladies pick it up and are doing the distribution and sales, there's several value.
Right.
A lot of people are employed along the line. That is not what we are doing. What we are doing is that the finished product gets here. When I was telling you that I juggled at buying and selling at a point, there are finished products from China, which I would come and distribute over there. It's at the very end of the value chain. I pick it up and I give it straight to the consumer. It is done. You can't run, an economy that way that employs people. It doesn't work. That is why when we say it, people feel like agriculture, the whole agriculture conversation is cliche. It is not. The reason why it is not cliche is that where I come from, Raymond comes from the same area as me. We do onion seasonally. Ask him how it works. People get jobs at that end. They won't go and steal from anybody. But that whole process, where the one who comes to weed the farm, you employ him. The people who come and, harvest the onions and all that, you employ them and all. But what is the implication for that? I grew up seeing that all my life. But would I want to go and do it? I don't want to do it.
Why?
Ask me why. The reason is that the last time I checked, the fertilizers they use, NPK and all these things they use, have skyrocketed over 800 cedis. The sad thing is that when you start, you go plant the stuff, okay? And then the prices start shooting up like that. You are caught in a fist. Should I abandon this and know that this is my loss? The seedling cost, the nursing cost are my loss. Or should I continue and buy these fertilizers, hoping that the outcome would be a lesser loss than before? It is a loss up in issue. Why should I do that? So that is a situation we have created for people who even want to go to that end of the value chain, to start from the basic. It is very difficult to do. If I want to clear a very large tract of land today to do probably maize, Worship is doing very beautifully at it. If I want to join him in doing that today,
it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, because where do I get the capital to start? Now, it is not an excuse. It is not an excuse we are given, but it's a reality situation that we need to face.
With regards to the capital, we are seeing that, there's going to be an intervention called the YouStart. Is it enough? Angie?
Another Napo-like.
Can you hear me, please?
We can hear you.
Okay, all right. So to talk about the YouStart program, which has been enrolled by the government to assist the youth in the country with their entrepreneur ventures or endeavors. I believe that it is not enough, in the sense that how many people are going to access or are going to be getting the resources that the government is going to give through this Youth Start initiative. How is the process like? And it is a process that you start, then we continue, we step into to assist you. But how true is that? What is the assurance that they are going to step in? And when they step in, what kind of help, what kind of substantial help are they offering, or are they going to offer to help your establishment or your business, whatever venture you are starting or you desire to start, to climb the ladder to the top and to be successful as an entrepreneur or as a business student. So for the Youth Start event, even though it is a good initiative, would like to see for the youth, would like to see how beneficial it is going to be for all of us, or those with the entrepreneurial desires or who want to go into business, whichever sector they find themselves in, so that we don't want to come out at the end to find out that this is an initiative which has been which is there for only a select few or only some who are privileged to benefit from it. But if it is an initiative for all, where the government is going to truly stand by its word to make it accessible to all who go through the process and get the needed help, it is going to be a great help to the youths who are entrepreneurs in the country.
Right. Let me bring in Fafa. What's your take on the Youth Start?
I believe it's a starting point. I believe that a Youth Start is a starting point, but we need to add other services to the Youth Start. So when we look at the money side, should the starting point be how much? Is it enough? We need statistics when it's fully rolled out. We need the statistics. If the money that is given to the people is not enough, it's better you don't give it up. Because if I require 10,000 Ghana cedis to start a 1 acre farm, and I'm being given 1,000 Ghana cedi, you are propelling that person to go and use that money as a feeding fee. So at the end of the day, we are not going to achieve what we want to achieve. So it's better to concentrate on a number of youth. Let's start with them, see the outcome. Can we afford the entire budget of a youth entrepreneur going into this particular sector? Aside that, what are some of the other services that we need to add? I talked about the extension services. Do we just give the startup capital and let the person go? We need that guidance. They need the expert advice. For instance, when I was looking for other varieties of mushrooms to produce, especially the medicinal ones, I didn't get any support whatsoever to get those varieties that I'm looking for. So as a country, we are having inadequate technical expertise in the country. So youth may desire to go into certain non-traditional commodities to send outside, like black pepper, like other non-traditional. But do we have the food research well-resourced that the youth can go there and get enough advice or technical know-how to go into this lucrative product or produce that can earn the country a lot and even help others to employ more of the youth?
Right.
So apart from the initial startup capital, let's see whether is it enough for a youth to start a brand. My brother was talking about some of these inputs are skyrocketing. The fertilizers, the farm inputs, the equipment, they cannot simply afford it. So can we provide enough capital for these people to start? That is the starting point.
That is the starting point. Very true. On Twitter, there's a message coming in. Good morning. I'm loving your take this morning, and I want to emphasize on it that I've completed my training as a nurse and still in the house as we speak. There's no posting for us as we speak. I'm now preparing to leave the country. This coming from a gentleman called Target Glory Boy. He sent it to you, Julius. You can also send in your messages, and of course, We'll definitely love to hear from you. Want to hear your experience. How are you coping if you are not working? Earlier, Andrews, you did mention the experience bit when you're looking for a job.
Yeah, so it falls right into something that just popped up in my mind. And you'll notice that we go to school, we are taught, but we are not taught how to make use of it in the real world. We are not taught how to leverage on what we've learned to apply for jobs. So for instance, I had a very, very general and haphazard CV. And a lot of the times when I applied, it didn't go through, and I didn't know why, because I thought I was doing the right thing, only to find out that was probably the wrong way to present my CV. And also to find out that there are different things you need to pay attention to when presenting CVs for different forms of jobs.
And you're not taught in school?
No. You see, in school, you are just taught CV writing and how you put up a CV, that's all. But the very things that you need to project yourself to be competitive in the real world, you are not taught those things. And for instance, I would like to maybe throw this out there as an advice. If you're a business student, let's say you study a few things in school, try working on projects on your own. Not projects as in building a business or anything, but for whatever data analysis or business calculation skills you learned, try putting it to use on your own in a particular document or whatever building that you can find. Because those are the things people would look out for. Right, when you are going to apply for a job, you tell them, I went through this entire process on my own. I built this calculating sheet on my own. I was able to do this on my own. And so those are some of the things that you do to create an edge over all the others that are out there. Because trust me, there are thousands of first-class students. There are thousands of first-class students.
So whom you know, does it work?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it works. But in the things I've seen, I've not had to do whom you know. And so it has also re-established the belief that it is not the case that without somebody you know, you can't get there. It is equally the case that there are corporations out there, there are individuals out there, there are spaces out there that are very, very objective in their selection process. Because trust me, they are equally looking for productivity. They are looking for who will drive them to the next level.
Right.
And so putting yourself out there, doing the best things. And these are some of the conversations we need to start having, because they seem very, very meager, very, very little to discard. But a lot of the times, they are the major stumbling blocks. Because, for instance, lots of corporations run through CVs using automated algorithms. And so they have 10,000 applications or 2,000 applications. Human beings don't sit down to review them one by one. They run them through an algorithm which automatically deletes or rejects any form of CV format that doesn't meet the required format. And so you may be in there, probably the most qualified individual, but that process, that first stage of the process, narrowing down alone, takes you out of the equation. And these are the things that we need to start letting people become conscious of, that the real world and job application is not just about getting the educational background. It involves being strategic, thinking, knowing the soft skills aspect of things. He was talking about presentation, communication, team building. Those are equally things, because no matter how good you are, you have to be able to communicate.
All right, Julius, let me bring you in here quickly so that we can round up the conversation, please.
Let me go on the whom you know issue.
Yeah.
You see, we assume that the whom you know concept is only about favoritism and nepotism. It is there, which is highly condemnable. But here's the thing. For every organization you are in, or for every organization you would enter, if there is no one who would put their credibility on the line for you, that you are good, that you can deliver on the job, you can't grow. So it is not, the nepotism part is condemnable, but there's the issue of people consciously networking and demonstrating their ability to people so that they put their credibility on the line for you. If you cannot do that, you are out. Because you can be the best person in the room. If nobody can put their credibility on the line for you, you're out. Then there's a second thing about experience. You see, sometimes when you see a job application, it's like Fortune made this conversation happen just last night. I was talking to a friend who is more like a brother, Paul, and he was telling me that he applied for a job. They were asking for 5 years experience. He has none. So he showed up, they asked him his experience because they don't see it on the CV. Yeah. And he said he has none. And it's the best thing they have on the table, that he has none. Because his ability to adapt and fit into the environment as quickly as possible is more important than him having a certain experience which is very repetitive. and they were shocked about his confidence. So your confidence in demonstrating your ability to do something is also very important. So you may go to a place, they tell you 5 years experience, you have none, but you will still qualify. So my advice would also be that there are some situations that you see, a prescription, 3 years experience and all those things, and you feel, I'm not qualified, I will not try. You should try and go demonstrate in confidence your knowledge and your skill. Because there are times that, as I said, someone must definitely put their credibility on the line. It is your confidence that the person will see. This guy, let's put him to the test and see something. Yeah. Let's see what he's made of.
Right.
And you would not be in the room when the people have that conversation. Yeah. It would be after you have made your point, stated what you have made of. And if you're unable to demonstrate to anybody in that room that there is something in you that even if there is a doubt among the rest of the people on the table, let's say it's the three of us to make the decision, the guy is sitting right there, and he speaks so well, says what he can do and all that, you are in doubt, you are in doubt. It must take me to say, you know what, Roslyn, let's try this guy. Let's give him 2 months and see what he's going to do. And if you are able to show within that 2 months that you are better off than someone who has 5 years experience, you stay.
Let me go.
People need confidence.
Right. Let me go. I wish I had all the time, but we can continue this conversation tomorrow if you have time. You just pass through. Okay. Sure. So let me go on Zoom. Fafa.
Hi.
Fafa, let me, in the 30 seconds, what do you think is causing this unemployment in the youth? What have you seen with your experience?
Thank you so much. I have realized as an employer that our graduates also need to do more to impress their employers to employ them. We are seeing more of people lacking the soft skills in order to get to some of the job opportunities. How well you are even dressed, not that you go and buy a new dress, but your presentation, your confidence level also earns you some positions. So as graduates, we need to improve upon our soft skills as well as our technical skills. And when it comes to our universities, we need to advise them that they should marry the practicals with the theory. Let our students go out more into the industries. We are seeing more of exchange programs. The whites are coming down to learn from us. But how many of our students are being allowed or sponsored to go out there to study in their industries and bring that knowledge back to us? So we're still going around the same cycle, producing the same results. So we need to open up the students' mind. They need to see a bigger picture of what they desire to be. And when they see that, they come back, they dream bigger. Right. So we need to create that opportunity for students to go out there to the bigger industries, to see what is going on there and come back. We are always seeing results better when people go and experience the bigger picture.
Thank you, Fafa. Let me go to Angie. Angie. Hello, Angela.
Hello, Roslyn.
National service. After national service, what's next? Just in case they don't retain you.
Okay, so going back to the national service, what I'm doing and where we started from. As I said, most of us are looking at the job market to be employed, but it doesn't look likely. So others have the option of going back to school where they'll be needing resources.
No, what about you, Angela? I need you.
Okay. I have absolutely full intention to go back to school to take on the master's course, to adapt to my knowledge and my skills, to build up my skills and the field I find myself in. And I believe my colleagues too are looking at doing same, to go back to school and also adapt to the knowledge base. And we would wish that at the end, the skills that we are going to acquire would really be beneficial to what our community or the jobs we are going to be doing in the end.
Right.
So as far as those jobs are available, all sectors come out to help make sure that this the job crisis or the unemployment is really tackled and reduced. And also for students or youths who are having their businesses or who want to further it and not go back to school just like I want to do, the resources will be there for them to carry it on, going back to the youth start. it should be more comprehensive.
We are hoping so. Angie, thank you
yes.
so much for joining us this morning. Super grateful that you made time. Do have a good day. So I have a few messages coming through. Kontok Dan Prince, I hope I got your name right. Julius Anthony, so intelligent, God knows. Ahiagba says there are summits where leading entrepreneurs come about and create room for others to join, but many vital ones are closed doors. The outdoor one are bookish. So until one understand the need to be an entrepreneur, will always lack staffs. Emmanuel T. Spoon says, Julius Kwame Anthony Ayiko on the honest discourse. Presla Moore says, fantastic submission by Julius. Hey, Julius, you get fancy. Michael Leroy said, Julius Anthony always speaking the mind of the ordinary Ghanaian youth. God knows. Ahiagba says, you start is for selected personnel. Because ask who benefited from it and what happened. What is the progress so far? God knows again says the summits are, I think I've already read this one. And I think you start is for the selected ones. Ask who benefited from it and what is the progress so far. That will be all. Okay, I think there are some messages again. Great piece, Fafape says Mindshare GTV. And Emmanuel T. Spoon again says, Julius Ayiko, great job. Anthony says, Amuzu Walanyo. Thank you all so much for sending in your messages. I'm very grateful that you could join us. I don't have the time, Julius. I don't know. Maybe my producer will bring you tomorrow.
Well,
is that okay?
Well, but I just needed to say this for my Kolebu people, please. Something should be done about them. The housemanship, the people, they are struggling. You can't give doctors 300 cedis.
Okay, thank you so much. Well heard. And this morning we had this conversation with Angela Togoza as she joined us via Zoom. She is a user press and information secretary. Also joining us in studio, Julius Anthony, who is a former NUKS general secretary, and Andrew Steku, who is actually an ambassador for Doha debate, and also he's interning at Bolt Ghana. Fafa, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We know we had to do a late call and you still made time for us. We are super grateful. Now, Fafa is the founder and CEO of E90 Ghana. She actually farms mushrooms. So if you need great mushrooms, make sure that you call her. She'll serve you. Fafa, thank you so much for joining us. Angie, thank you. And thank you, gentlemen. Super grateful.
Thank you very much.